Hey, thank you for clicking on the video. This is the very first video for this particular channel of mine, and I am really excited because I have so many thoughts and opinions, just on entertainment in general, and that's what we'll be discussing, on this channel, right? And I thought the first thing to talk about is one of my favorite theories to look into from It Welcome to Derry. Um, so I saw this guy's video, and he was basically saying his theory was that it had already changed the timeline, and I agree with him. Now he went into a whole bunch of details. He went into too many details. Like he was talking about the original It miniseries and all of that stuff, and it was a lot to intake. But the reason why I think that it already changed the timeline is a little bit more simpler than what he was talking about. I wish I could remember exactly who the guy was that was talking about it, so I could let you guys know the channel so you could go and see the video, but I don't. So, it's been a minute, but maybe you'll come across it one day. um, so I kept asking myself, I'm like, how did he know who Marge was, but he asked Dick Halloran who he was when he first met him? And it's like, a lot of people's like, well, he's on the original timeline, but what if he's not? So in the books, right, Dick was just a cook in the army. And what if he originally was supposed to be just a cook in the army? He wasn't supposed to be getting used by the government, okay? But we know after the Losers Club kills him, his time works different. So he starts going after very specific individuals, right? And we also know that he originally kills Veronica Grogan. Okay, she was originally dead. She talks to Beverly through the pipes. That is what happens on the original timeline. But because he starts going after very specific people and he attacks Marge, and I strongly believe that Lily is Billy and Georgie's mom. And it would make sense considering how hard he went at her, and then we also know how hard he went at Will because he's Mike's dad. Okay? So here's what I was thinking. In 1908, he probably originally killed Francis, the guy who was the head in the military. He probably originally had killed him because most likely Rose was probably also one of his victims in the original timeline. But if he is going through time, going after specific bloodlines so he doesn't get killed in the future, what if he changed targets last minute? Rose ends up surviving, able to stop him from killing Francis. Boom! Francis gets to become head of the military. He hears about this guy who keeps winning all of these card games, and then he makes Halloran his little secret weapon to find this particular entity because he had a run-in with him. And then think about it. When it sees Francis at the end, he's like, oh, I never forget a smell, right? And he immediately kills him. Like, what if he originally did kill him? Like, that's my theory on it, right? And then it goes into also which is why Veronica actually ends up surviving in the end because he changed targets. So we see that he already had his eyes on Marge. Like, we see his deadlights on Marge multiple different times throughout the first 3 episodes before he does what he does to her in the bathroom. And what if it could, I think it was one of two things, right? One, he already was watching her and was like, oh, well, let me see if I can just pull her and Lily apart so that, they don't have that strong bond and then their kids won't grow up as friends. Or he might not have necessarily known at first that that was the Marge that he needed to kill. And so he was keeping an eye on her to see who she befriended. And when he saw that Lily had started being friends with Will and Rich, he was like, "Ooh, this is a march. This is the march that I've been looking for." And then he tries to, get her to bully Lily. The moment that Marge was about to be up front with Lily, that's when he does what he does to her, because he was like, okay, my plan backfired. I clearly did not have a bigger influence on her. And because he started attacking those three particular kids who, well, we know for a fact two of them are the parents of two of the losers. Again, strongly believe that Lily is Billy's mom. But because he attacks them, he attacks Veronica because she was originally his target, but he's not so zoned in on her anymore to actually get the kill. And she's so focused on, and which, another thing, what if the stuff that happens with the dad didn't originally happen in the timeline with Veronica's dad? What if it didn't originally happen in the timeline? So he was able to just easily take her out because he wasn't manipulating a bunch of stuff to take place in, the town. But it still leads to certain events, right? Like the black spot still gets burned down. But it also, the black spot was different. So in the movie, we get a picture of what the black spot looks like. And then when you look at the black spot in the show, it's a completely different building. And it's because the timeline has changed. Like, what if that was done purposely, right? Because if they really wanted to, I mean, Annie Machete and the woman, I forgot her name. Sorry, his sister. I really forgot her name. I'm sorry, I can't think about it right now. I mean, I can't think of it right now. But those two, they pay so close attention to detail. I don't think anything they do is by mistake. And I think they very much so knows what picture they use of the black spot in the film. So what if they purposely changed the look of it in the show to show that the timeline has been messed with already? Because at the end of the day, there was different reasons. It was still similar reasons, like racism, we need our own space. But it was like a different way that led them to getting the black spot even in the show from the book. Right? And then the building looks completely different, right? So what if the events of it burning down is completely different as well? Now, I don't know exactly why it burned down in the book. It's probably still because of racism. But in the show, it specifically happens because, oh girl, his daughter, she will be a whole nother topic in a different video. His daughter maneuvered stuff, and he used her, which another thing is, I feel like he probably wasn't playing those games with her in the original timeline, but when he was messing through time, she kind of just got drawn into the picture because he probably originally wasn't using her dad's persona. Okay, and then we know that time is weird because he was able to use the persona in a time before he even saw it, Pennywise the clown, right? Just like in the show, they pointed out in the final episode, he used the form of a girl who wouldn't be alive until the decade of the Losers Club. So we know he can use forms that he finds in futuristic times in the past. So he probably wasn't originally using Pennywise the clown, and he never ran into Ingrid in the original timeline. But because he started using the clown's persona, he ran into Ingrid. Ingrid was like, okay, I'm gonna help you kill kids. And go ahead because you're my dad. And leads to the black spot burning this time due to the whole BS with them framing Hank Grogan, right? So I hope this was easy to follow. But all this to say, I think that yes, the timeline is different, and that was just all the reasons why I think that the timeline was different and why he knew who Marge was, but didn't know who Halloran was at first. And it also explains why Halloran was able to easily infiltrate his mind, because he didn't have an encounter with it before in the original timeline. So it was like, hold up, why is this human able to do what I'm able to do? You know what I mean? But yeah, that's my theory. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and share if you don't mind. And come back for more videos, because there will be a lot more. Thank you for your time.